What's up, guys? Back here with another video for you today. I just realized I have not filmed a collection update in like 6 months, which is entirely unacceptable. That being said, I have not particularly accumulated anything impressive, quantitatively speaking, but I do have like 2 CD collection updates worth of stuff, and I finally got through about half of them. So we're gonna go with the first one here. If you guys haven't recognized what we're listening to in the background, we're listening to this gem of an album, Kvesterlinger by Ulver. It is the second album from Ulver, and it's so good, dude. It's not a black metal record. It's like all folk and classical guitar, but it's super pretty. It's really it's really tranquil. It's something I really appreciate. It's actually my favorite album from Ulver. So no beer today, just a little bit of tea. All right, we're gonna start off good here. We're starting off with the second album from a Belgium-based band called Target, and this is their album Master Project Genesis. This is the second record from 1989, if I remember my chronology is correct. This is a technical kind of progressive thrash band that I never heard of before seeing this in the wild. I believe I was at Cheapo Records in Minneapolis, Minnesota when I picked this up. I might be wrong. I don't remember exactly where I got it. It's been a while, but it's really great record, man. It's really thought-provoking and it's interesting. Some of the weird syncopations between the guitar and the drums, just the riff-wise in general, it's pretty interesting in that kind of a fashion. It's progressive in the non-obnoxious way. It's progressive in a tasteful way, which can be something that can be detrimental to my opinion of a band entirely, let alone like per record. Just one record that sounds like that kind of makes me think probably not going to love a lot of the rest of the stuff, so I don't even bother. But these guys do it in a very well put together way, a very, I don't know, I would probably draw some lines close to Mekong Delta. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend checking out Target. It's out on ARG, which is, you know, whatever, which is kind of cool. I don't know how old this pressing is. I don't know if it's a boot or what, but neither here nor there. Who cares? So yeah, Target. Next, this is Lacrimunius Profunder by Memorandum, or that's the band name, and then the album's called Memorandum. This is their third full length from 1999 out on Napalm Records. Really cool kind of melodic death doom with some gothy tinges here and there. As far as I understand, this is like one of the last records they did before they became like a real gothy band, which isn't necessarily detrimental to my opinion, like obnoxious progressiveness is, but they do it in a really well put together and tasteful way on this record. It kind of reminds me quite a bit of the earlier Anathema stuff, or maybe some of the earlier couple of Tiamat albums, of which I'm not super familiar with, but just conceptually I understand the idea of it. But it definitely reminds me a bit of like a darker version of the early Anathema stuff. And like I said, German band, they really know what's up when it comes to the metal, so check this out if you guys have not. And I've said a million times, I'm not going to put all the stuff in the description. I frankly just don't want to. It's too much work for me to do. So if you want to know spellings or of anything, just comment. I'll do it for you then, but I'm not just going to do it for everything I ever post, because frankly, I'll never film a video again if I have to do stuff like that. Next, sixth album from this classic band, Saxon. Absolute must-have in any respectable metal collection. I feel like I say that often, and it's always pertaining to something out of either like the new wave of British heavy metal particularly, or just generally speaking 80s metal. So I guess that's kind of showing where my taste has gone over the past couple of years. I can't get it out of here because I'm a buffoon. Whatever. Anyway, hardcover digibook, very nice looking. I always love the inside of these digibooks. I have a couple of things that from Saxon that have this look to them, and I'm a big fan of it. I think it's pretty awesome. But yeah, all around great stuff, man. I mean, you guys have probably heard this album before. If not, you really should, because it's a must-have. The song Crusader is great. Just Let Me Rock's kind of goofy AC/DC-ish. Same thing with Rock City. Do It All For You is kind of a fun song. I just really like this one. It's probably my favorite cover in the Saxon discography too. Super cool. I don't know enough about history to know which crusade that's supposed to be looking like. Next, some Swedish black metal, Till Stilla Falla by Stilla. This is the debut album from the Swedish black metal project. I believe the owner of Nordvis is the fellow behind this. Don't quote me on that exactly. That's kind of off of memory. It's not something I particularly looked up beforehand, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. If not, who cares? Whatever. It's really good. It's kind of in the atmospheric realm of things. Obviously, it's put out by Nordvis. If what I said is correct, definitely, but it certainly is put out by Nordvis. And it kind of rides in that early 20-teens Swedish melodic-y kind of atmospheric adjacent black metal. This kind of toes the line between grim and atmospheric in a really good way. I think it could really fit in either taste, you know, especially if you're in like a mood for something like Druk, or some of the less bombastic and pretty atmospheric black metal, more of your straightforward black metal attack style of atmospheric black metal. I would say this would be something more for you, but with a bit more chilling of an atmosphere as opposed to the magnificence of like an autumn day that Druk seems to persist in most of their stuff, besides like Blood in Our Wells. You guys get what I'm talking about. If you like that style, check this out. Next, third album by this band, Fearless Undead Machines by Deceased. Come on. Everybody loves Deceased. They're everybody's hokey, drunken uncle on Thanksgiving when it comes to death metal, which is my kind of deal. I absolutely love that style of death metal. It is just 80s all over the place, hokey, horror inspired, super thrashy, traditional metal inspired death metal. I mean, come on, dude. What's not to like about Deceased? The first couple of records, the first two in particular, are basically like old school death metal albums, but they hold some really thrashy tendencies, and I think the thrash is really exemplified even further on this one, as well as a little bit more of a traditional metal influence. But there's quite a bit of that in all of their catalog. They just gradually got more traditional metal as time went along, but all along it was there, and it's always something that is really a good record. Next, something I snagged from Bindrune. I have a Bindrune box just like thrown about in this, as well as a bunch of random things. But Where Life Springs Eternal by Celestial. I have been wanting to pick up a copy of this for, I couldn't even tell you how long. It's been years upon years, ever since it came out. I believe I remember when this dropped and it was brand new, and I just never got around to buying it. Just because every time I'm on Bindrune, there's so many things I want, it tends to get cut from the cart. You guys know how that goes. But this is a Tanner Innocent project. It's also featuring one of the members from Agalok and some other dude named Tim. I don't remember too much of his credentials, but I believe he has some kind of hand in Obsequiae, if I remember correctly. Not particularly pertinent to the circumstance, but I'm just exclaiming that to give you a caliber of musicianship of which is present on this album. It's really got a funeral doomy style to it for the most part, but with a bit of the staticiness of black metal of the maybe the 90s-ish kind of black metal. It's not so, it's really demo quality as far as like the static-y black metal sound goes, so take that how you will, but I think it lends well to the kind of creepy eeriness of an album like this, which isn't necessarily what they were going for. I think it's supposed to be a little prettier, but it's a darker and a bit more of a chaotic listen because of the production value and maybe the touch of the black metal influence to it. But nonetheless, I like it a lot, and you know, I get like the running water thing on the front. It kind of has that element of like ambient soundscape behind it. It's a cool record nonetheless. It's pretty long. One song on here is over 30 minutes, and then the rest of it just keeps chugging along. So it's like 2 long songs with some smaller stuff in between. Really good. Check this out if you guys haven't listened to it. Next, I got 3 albums from Jim Kirkwood. I picked this up off of, who did I get this from? Out of Season, duh. Where else would you buy Jim Kirkwood material in 2024? So I picked up all 3 of the CDs because why wouldn't you? I think there was one more. There might have been 4, and I just missed the opportunity because as I said earlier, and I must reiterate, I'm a buffoon. This is King of the Golden Hall. I must throw them on the ground. Urkai. And Where Shadows Lie. So this one kind of maintains a bit of a prettier soundscape, maintaining a bit more of the like high fantasy dorkiness of Jim Kirkwood, which is kind of cool though. And then this one is really like epic video game 90s RPG quest music, you know. I never got to play Elder Scrolls Morrowind just because I'm too young for that, at least for it to be convenient for me to play. So this is kind of what I imagine music, if that was like rendered into an arcade game, this is the kind of music I would imagine would be in the background. So it's like dorky 90s high fantasy stuff. Some of the stuff on the previous one sounds a little dancey. This is not really dancey at all, but it still maintains like a questing atmosphere to it. And Where Shadows Lie maintains both of those things, but with almost none of the dancey element, other than maybe some hard driving programmed drums maybe, but nonetheless carries a bit more of a darker coercion to it. Really, really decent stuff. Kirkwood's not my favorite thing in the genre, but nonetheless, it's so influential to said genre of dungeon synth that I feel as if I'm obligated to at least own some of it in my collection. I also picked up a long sleeve, which is in my closet, of which I'm too unmotivated to go get. Next, Lustre with Wanderer. This is a Swedish black metal band, again out on Nordvis. Big fan of this one. I've been wanting this since it came out as well, which I believe was around 2013, so maybe not necessarily right when it came out, because I wasn't super into black metal at 15. I think I was like the beginning stages maybe, but this is a really pretty atmospheric album. I remember listening to this in high school for sure. So it's a good kind of atmospheric, maintaining a similar pace most of the time, but it maintains quite a bit of ambience as well, and a bit of a hazy disposition with a heavy synthesizer based on the album itself. It's really, really good. All around something I think that you guys should listen to, but is not 100% necessary. Nonetheless, I do like it quite a bit, and supporting Bindrune, which is where I got this, as well as the partnership with Nordvis is, you know, if you like black metal, why wouldn't you? Really, really great stuff. Swedish black metal, 2013, I think I said, and maybe second or third album in their catalog. I don't remember exactly. Next, Swallow the Sun with Plague of Butterflies. This is a Finnish band. This is an EP that came out with after the release of their third album. This came out in 2008. I have none of their full lengths. This is actually the first time I've ever listened to Swallow the Sun, and I was pretty impressed with it. The album cover is particularly unassuming, as well as how lame that logo is, because it is awful. But this is a really decent bit of doomy death metal. They have a really Finnish sound to them, and it also has some stuff from a 2003 demo on it, which is the Out of This Gloomy Light demo, which is very nice to have as well, because I'm sure the real demo copies of this are not the easiest thing in the world to get. So if you're going to do an EP, toss something rare on the back end. I think it's a good recipe for better sales, especially for collector dorks, and it's really, really cool. It's got a heavy dose of Finnish death metal into it. Particularly, I smell a lot of the Pertinence style to it, or maybe some of the Rippikoulu style. You know, the bit slower, a little bit more melodic, and not so smacky, hitty drums. This is the dumbest thing I've ever said. You guys get what I mean. It's not so percussive as something like Convulse or stuff like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. Really would recommend listening to it. It kind of maintains that Finnish death metal sound with quite a bit of the evoking-y death doom. It's really, really good. All right, we're down to some stuff that's not necessarily super important to talk about, but I will nonetheless. For years, I've hated this band, and I finally pick up stuff that I don't think is absolutely auditorily repugnant. So that's nice. That's a nice change of pace for me. This is Images and Words from 1992 by Dream Theater, and this is an EP from 1995. So a change of seasons, and yeah, Images and Words. I liked it. It's like not amazing, but I didn't want to throw it in the garbage, which is really cool, because that's basically my opinion of every other Dream Theater I've heard. So I feel like I finally hit it, where I could finally listen to this band and just not be beside myself with irritation. But yeah, it's cool. It kind of sounds like a weaker power metal with a lot of the really cool proggy moments, especially the vocals. I don't know this dude's name, but that's been a really good redeeming factor. The vocals are really good, high pitch power metal style of vocal, of which I appreciate dearly. Music's cool. It's well thought out, it's methodical, it's really heady as far as music theory goes, but isn't necessarily always my cup of tea. But that's okay. I don't always have to be in the mood for that. Just like everything in your collection, man. You're not always in the mood for every kind of album you got. So it'll officially stay in the collection regardless of the 3 previous Dream Theater albums that have came and went through my collection. Next, 2 from Maiden, just whole fillers, The Final Frontier and Peace of Mind. I haven't had Peace of Mind on CD for a plethora of reasons, most of them being I've heard a lot of these songs a gajillion times and didn't find it necessarily pertinent to get. But Final Frontier is kind of boring. I have to be in the mood for a later era, like Reformation era of the classic Maiden lineup, I guess you should say. If I'm not in the mood for long, epic questing songs, I'm not super in the mood for it, and it just doesn't hit well. But when I'm in the mood, I can stomach most of Senjutsu, and enjoy it quite a bit. I actually really like stuff like that. So this will have to come back on the player eventually. But this one, you know, this is just, everybody knows this album. I mean, come on, dude. Die With Your Boots On is probably my favorite song on here. Just gotta put that out there. And last thing, I contemplated not even bothering putting this in here, but I consider it at like hair metal, so it's Whitesnake, Slip of the Tongue. It's just corny sleazeball 80s nonsense, dude. It's just it's lowbrow, and I kind of want it that way. As far as this kind of stuff goes, I like it. So I'm gonna call it that, because I don't need to talk about Whitesnake for very long. But I hope you guys enjoyed the collection update. First one in a good long while, and I was very happy to film it. I'll catch y'all later. Keep it greasy.